Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Robert Warshack. In this video, we're going to be covering should you be playing Hearthstone in 2026. I have a list of pros and cons. I've been playing Hearthstone for about 10 to 11 years now since it came out. I believe I played in the late alpha and then of course in the beta. Hearthstone has had a lot of changes over the years, so whether you are a recent returning player or you're a longtime veteran from the past and you're thinking about coming back, where's Hearthstone today? And I'm going to talk about the good and then the bad and then some of my opinions. So the first question: is Hearthstone worth playing? No. And let me tell you why. I'm just kidding. A lot has changed over Hearthstone, like I've mentioned, and one of the better changes that has changed is they actually give out a loner deck or a ladder ready deck to any player who has not logged into Hearthstone for a consecutive, I believe, 90 days. So if you've not opened Hearthstone, when you do return, you should be getting essentially a tier 2 deck with these battle ready decks. It should look like this on your screen. A lot of players had issues finding theirs. There's arrows. Just click, I believe, the left arrow if this screen is already popped up and you don't know how to get back to it. The arrow. We had like an insane amount of people ask about it when we made our best ladder ready deck to pick. But yeah, being able to just start the game, have a deck that's fairly decent, tier 2, this can take you to platinum, take you to diamond fairly easily if you're familiar with Hearthstone. These decks can obviously be modified because when you select the one that you want, which you can try them all for a week, and then at the end of the week you pick whatever one you want, you're able to modify the decks as you see fit because the cards are just yours. On top of that, they actually came out with catch-up packs, which I do believe you get as well if you have not logged into Hearthstone for 90 consecutive decks, along with other packs. So there's normal packs which have 5 cards in them, and then there's the catch-up packs which have like 20 plus, 30 plus card, can contain multiple legendary and generally give you cards that have come out in the previous sets. You get these again just by logging in if you haven't played in a while, and I think there's like some small achievements to get them. You cannot buy these packs from the shop, but normal packs you obviously can, which I have a video on the packs that you can get from logging in, so I will put that in the description below along with the link to catch-up packs and all the information about them, as there is a lot. Yeah, battle ready decks is huge for any player returning because, like I said, you can hit to very high ranks with these decks that you have already without spending a single dollar. Taking a look at more improvements that Hearthstone has done over the year, we got a word from our sponsor. He's losing his mind at the moment. Would you like to remind our viewers that in order for Duders to get good Christmas with his girlfriend, we should sub, like, and comment on every video? Make sure we watch them all. Even if you don't want to, you put it on mute or low volume. Keep it rolling. Keep that time engagement high. Duders is happy. I know he looks like a stuffed animal. I promise he's real. Hi, buddy. Oh, look at the leg go up immediately. What a good boy. We actually have quite a few new tabs if you haven't logged in a while. And then we have the journal, which will contain our daily and weekly quests here, which you have the ability to re-roll the ones you want and don't want. These daily and weekly quests give you experience, which you can see here at the top with the number, and then the experience directly flows into the rewards track, which again is new. If you haven't played Hearthstone for, I think, like 3 to 4 years, I'd say this is going to be brand new. You have a free rewards track here at the bottom, with the top being a paid for one. So as you can see, I am quite far in mine for this rewards track being fairly still new. And you have packs that you can get, you have legendary cards that you can get, and then if you pay, you get the top row, and if you don't pay, you get the bottom. And because I bought mine, I get both. But just going off just the bottom, as you can see, the bottom continues all the way through with the top kind of fizzling out. So each and every season, the rewards track rewards change. So just depending on your play style and how much Hearthstone you plan on playing or not, generally you don't need to buy this. It is mostly just for the cosmetics, but given I play Hearthstone pretty much every day, it made sense for me to do it because you do get an EXP boost for doing it. But as you can see, there's a lot of free rewards that just we never really had before, and again, the daily stuff feeds right into that. Speaking of rewards, at the end of each month there are end of the month rewards. So if we just take a look at this, when you go into rank, you'll be able to hit this chest, and this chest will show you what you can achieve with getting a certain rank. However, wild format, which is Hearthstone has formats, and then standard format, depending on which is your highest rank in a format, is the rewards you get. So if, let's say, you hit legend, which is the highest rank in both standard, and then you hit legend in both wild, you do not get both rewards. You just get rewards for the highest rank you have in whatever game mode, which is kind of stupid, right? Because I think you would get rewarded for if you play all the game modes and you hit good rank in all the game modes, you should be rewarded for that. However, Hearthstone does not do that. So it just takes your highest rank. And as you can see here, if you hit Legend, you get 5 packs, 7 rare cards, and 1 epic card. I would say most of the time, just aim to hit Diamond, guys. 4 packs is really, really good. And then 7 rare cards. The extra pack and the extra epic, for the grind it takes from going from Diamond to Legend, if you are a newer player, intermediate player, and your collection is fairly limited, don't worry about it. Diamond 5 is Dad Legend. That should hit pretty much all the goals that you need to hit. Also, speaking about the ranked, I'm just going to change the game mode here so I think we can see it. Have star bonuses. So depending on which rank you've achieved the previous month, that kind of gives you a boost into the next month. Before Hearthstone, it would do a full reset, and then you had to grind all the way from bronze back to Legend each and every month. And then you could also go all the way, if you hit like rank 1 almost Legend and you lose, there was no ranked floors anymore, so you could go from essentially Diamond 1 back to bronze if you lost enough, right? Now there's ranked floors, so you can't actually lose any stars in bronze. But once you get to silver, or silver 10 is going to be the first benchmark. So once you hit that, if you lose every game, you'll never go back to bronze. Once you hit silver 5, you can't go back to silver 6. Once you hit gold 10, you can't go back to silver. As you can see, every 5 ranks, starting with the first rank and then the middle, is how you progress. And then at the end of the month, let's say you hit diamond, you start a new month, and then there's bonus stars. And let's say you get plus 10 bonus stars for hitting diamond. When you play your bronze games, you'll actually get 9 stars for winning and not just 1, which allows, you know, if you're playing monthly and you're hitting high ranks, it lets you get back to the rank you're supposed to be at faster, which is a massive difference from what it used to be. It was an absolute every month slugfest to hit legend, and now hitting legend and hitting the rank you were the previous month is quite easy, and it's built to be like that, so it rewards you for playing monthly. All right, so moving on to events, there's almost always an event going on in the game. So as we can see here, Rafam's Winter Veil, which ends in 21 hours. We completed all of the rewards. Got a pack and a legendary, 2 packs, 2 epics, golden legendary, a skin, and another pack. While these rewards aren't huge, they're really easy to complete. With a lot of games, sometimes with events, you really have to jump through some hoops and play the game not how you would normally play the game. Hearthstone is a game that just playing the game will unlock most things and progress most stuff to completion, which I think is really, really nice. I don't want to be forced to play game modes or forced to play certain things to get objectives done, to complete events. It is almost, I don't even think about it and stuff gets completed, which I think is exactly the way it should be, because just play the game any way you want and be rewarded for that. All right, so that's basically all of the new stuff and nice stuff that Hearthstone has. Moving to the cons, this one is probably just going to be the biggest con ever. The shop icon, this is where Hearthstone spends most of their budget, and I think time really is investing into people buying things in the game. This shop is not what it used to be. I play this every day, and the shop still just overwhelms me every time I go to it. You know, there's packs that you can buy. There's the golden packs you can buy. There's the mini sets, as Hearthstone's been out a really long time. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of stuff here, a lot of packs and sets. Most of the time, unless you're playing the wild format, which includes every card ever made, and you can play with it in Hearthstone. That format's crazy, by the way. Very fun, but crazy. Most of the time, you're only going to be focused on the last 2 years of sets, which again makes it really easy to figure out what you need because it's just the last 2 years of sets. However, the shop is overwhelmingly expensive. There is 1,000 things that you could buy. When you click on the mini set, it always shows you the golden one first, not the cheaper one. The hero skins, I don't see any right now, but there's some skins that go for $60 for one skin. That's fucking crazy. Also, there's this new, like, right now it's not a pet, but there's like this gotcha thing where the first spin is free, the first hit's free, and then this thing spins around and then it picks a random reward, and then it gets more and more expensive. Obviously, you want the middle because this has like a signature Rafam in it. However, the percentages are always swayed against you. So it's like 0.01% on the first roll, 0.02 on the second roll, and then by the last roll, when everything else is taken care of, you get it 100%. And it basically breaks down into 99% of players to finish the whole thing. It's like $158. And this month there's like signature Rafam, which is the artwork being full art. And then like in previous months, there was like little pets that go on the screen. And you know, introducing new mechanics like a pet feature is really cool, but not when it's locked behind a $158 paywall that's literally rigged 99.9% against you. So I think if you click on this eye and you click more, bring up, oh yeah, baby. It brings up the nice percentages here. As you can see here, it's 0.1%, 1.4%, 2.5%. And as you move up, when obviously it's the last one, it's going to be the highest chance. So it looks like this event, the cost in dollars is $91 to get the Rafam for the with the pet, what I was referring to with the 158. So this one changed a little bit. But yeah, not really a fan of this particular system. And what's really annoying is us players gave feedback to the devs and the Hearthstone team. Hey, we do not like this gotcha spin the wheel casino thing. And they basically just ignored us. It was overwhelmingly negative. Like there was literally no positive. And because they made so much money off this, they just kept it. And they didn't only keep it, they changed nothing and it's basically been monthly now. So, you know, if you don't really care about that kind of stuff, it doesn't really matter. But to me, it just like Hearthstone shouldn't be what looks to be a gotcha game, because it's not. There's a whole ass game here that's been around for 10 years and it's very good, but this just gives it just makes it look bad, right? Moving to modes. So Hearthstone has had quite a few different game modes arise and disappear over the course of its time. Hearthstone, if you didn't know, was developed in that you go into the Hearthstone, and then in the Hearthstone there's all of these different game modes, things that you could do. It's not just, you know, play standard arena, right? It was, you have this collection and you can use it for all of these things, or there's all of these cool game modes in the Warcraft universe. So they've done a decent job at trying to come up with stuff. As if you're familiar with, there's Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is very, very popular, probably the most popular format in Hearthstone right now, which is the auto battler. And then you have like Standard Hearthstone, you have Wild Hearthstone, you have Arena. However, there have been some other game modes. Basically, every other game mode that has been new. We're looking at like duels. We're looking at like twist. These are formats in the game that were a thing for a little bit and then slowly became more and more obsolete. And in those game modes, you could spend a lot of time and things that you could purchase. And even looking at like mercenaries, which is on maintenance mode. I believe that was in here as well. Yeah, there's mercenaries. And you have all of these game modes that are just have been wildly unsuccessful or have just been basically abandoned. That's not good. You know what I mean? And then it's funny that Battlegrounds, which is, in my opinion, one of the most popular. If you go to Twitch, most of the streamers are playing the Battlegrounds, which is on, I believe, the front screen here. This game mode was built upon, one of the designers made this game mode out of just strictly enjoyment of the game and to have as much fun as possible. The problem was that it wasn't built to be monetized. So right now, Hearthstone is like scrambling to try to monetize what was essentially supposed to be a free fun mode. It's been a ride to see how they've attempted to monetize Battlegrounds with like locking heroes behind paywalls, or like in the opener when you pick one of 4 heroes, if you didn't buy a pass, you only get to pick from 2 and other people get to pick from 4. So yeah, new game modes have been not Hearthstone's strongest suit. And in my opinion, I was expecting Hearthstone at this point to have at least one game mode a year, or at least one every 1.5 years that are actually solid. And we've really just we have Standard Hearthstone and then Battlegrounds, and then everything else doesn't really matter. Arena's been out since the game started, right? And I guess there's Tavern Brawl, which is a mention. A lot of people bringing that up lately, but Tavern Brawl again is like a game that you play it once, you get, I think, a free pack, and then you just like don't play it again that week. So it's just sad to see that pretty much everything they've implemented into Hearthstone beyond Battlegrounds has been essentially what I would consider a failure. All right, moving into news. So Hearthstone does get very frequent, I wouldn't say very, it gets updates. And there are balance changes. There's a balance schedule. There is like an expansion schedule, a mini set schedule, and all of that does happen when it's supposed to happen. There's not these like giant month delays where nothing's going on. There's always an event. There's always new stuff coming. There's always stuff on the horizon. However, how that stuff gets conveyed and the transparency of it was really terrible a couple of years ago, like really bad, and now it has gotten definitely better. However, most of the news you're going to hear about Hearthstone will come from content creators who cover Hearthstone news. A lot of the information regarding Hearthstone doesn't actually come from the main website, which doesn't get updated probably as frequently as it should. but they have been getting better. And then also the Twitter, which again wasn't very active for quite some time and was a really not great source to figure out what's going on in Hearthstone. However, it has gotten better. How I think most of the news and how it's shared, it comes from just creators sharing dev feedback and like dev thoughts and like things that the devs are tweeting and then they're retweeting or commenting on or making a video on. Not to say it hasn't gotten better, it has, but it's still not at the point where I can confidently say that all Hearthstone related news can be found in one easy place, because that's not true. Also, to tack onto there, not that it's like a huge deal, but in regards to like who's leading Hearthstone, if we think back, if you're very familiar with Hearthstone or even played it previously or even have played Marvel Snap, you'll be familiar with the name Benbro. That like name rings and vibrates throughout the Hearthstone community and a lot of other strategy card game communities as well. And for the past few years, we've had a game director who's been leading the ship, who I don't know who he is. I've never seen a tweet from him. I've never seen a post from him. I'm in the Hearthstone Creator Program Discord, and I've never seen him there. I don't even know who he is. So to go from what is like essentially like a huge figure in the Hearthstone scene, he was part of all the promotional videos. He really was a driving factor at like making the game look like the game director was like, there was a clear vision. He was there at the forefront, and now there is no like person there. I don't even know who he is, like I mentioned. However, to bounce off that point, I would rather have a fun working game and a director I don't know than a director who's in my face and a piece of shit game. You know what I mean? So there's give take, but it's for somebody who's been playing a game 10 years, 11 years now, that I just have no idea who the game director is. He's never talked to the creators or the community, and he's the director and it's been years. It's just like kind of a weird thing. In regards to acquiring cards, it hasn't changed since basically the beginning of Hearthstone. You obtain gold from completing quests and getting it through the rewards track. You spend gold on packs, you buy packs, open up cards. That's how you acquire. Nothing's really changed. However, there are so many packs in the game now that, in my opinion, packs from the past should be cheaper, so you can play other game modes instead of paying like, you know, we have packs from the classic set and Goblet. The first things ever released in Hearthstone are the same exact price as the newest cards today. So it really is hard to incentivize players going back and doing older content when it like keeping up with the new stuff is already hard enough, and there's literally no discounts in Hearthstone. Like there's no deals. There's pre-orders and stuff like that where you can scrape together what is a better deal than normal. But Hearthstone's one of the only games that you see on like the Blizzard shop where it's like holiday specials, and then they have like Hearthstone 33% off. There's nothing 33% off. There's never been like a Hearthstone deal like packs are half off. That has never happened. I've never seen that before. It does not exist. Before, you could get away with some Amazon coin stuff, or if you like bought Amazon coins and then you did it on Android, you'd save like 20% or something. Like that doesn't exist anymore. That's like the first 2 or 3 years of Hearthstone. Now it's this, and it's the same, and there's no really any deals. There are bundles and stuff, as you can see here, that are very expensive. $50, $12, $20, $25. There's an infinite amount of things to buy, but none of them are really like, you know what I mean, deals. There's no like month that cards are half off or packs are half off. It's just kind of whack, as it's never really changed. But if Hearthstone makes a lot of money and they don't need to reduce the size, they don't need to do that because people are going to buy it anyway, then, you know what I mean, why would they do that? So speaking of Hearthstone's esports scene, if you were familiar with that in the first couple of years, Hearthstone esports was huge. There was tons of tournaments, tons of pro level players, and a lot of prizes to be had. And we then shifted a couple years ago where they made Hearthstone esports onto YouTube, and they stopped streaming it on Twitch, and the prize pool really hasn't increased. They had an entire pro circuit. They disbanded that pro circuit because whatever financial reasons. So being a pro Hearthstone player in today's world, there's essentially one tournament that makes up the majority of the prize money that year, and it's Worlds, which is the final tournament every year. Every other tournament, I think there's like 2 this year that have happened, and they were like 50K each. So Hearthstone esports, not necessarily the healthiest. However, we did have 2 new hires. We have Derek and TJ leading the esports Hearthstone, and I can say this past half year, the production quality and the effort put in was noticeably higher now that Hearthstone is off of YouTube and back onto Twitch. Numbers are good. People do like watching competitive Hearthstone. However, it's been so bad for so long, it's hard to turn that big of a ship quickly. However, the plans for 2026 for competitive Hearthstone do look quite nice, as we have an extra tournament and a larger prize pool and more ways to get involved with the Hearthstone esports scene. So that is definitely a really good thing in this upcoming year. However, as we know, Blizzard is really great at making promises and then not fulfilling what we expect them to fulfill. So while I do have my hopes up, as Hearthstone is my main game and I really hope it does well in regards to esports in the future, there are plans. We'll see how it pans out. Yeah, the esports scene for Hearthstone has been in a better place, but ideally gets better soon. All right, so kind of wrapping up. Damn, I haven't seen this card in Yu-Gi-Oh! In such a long time. So Hearthstone is not the titan that it used to be, for sure. In the first 3 years of Hearthstone, it was like top 5 on Twitch. Creators were posting videos getting 500,000 views each. We had a massive in-person world. However, there is this stigma of players who really resent Hearthstone for some reason, where they sing the long tale of Hearthstone's dead, Hearthstone's a dying game, Hearthstone's over. And they've been saying this for the past like 5 years. Hearthstone's been around for 10, 11 years now, and the game isn't going anywhere. The player base is exceedingly stable. You can look at any analytics. Hearthstone is still one of the top online card games to play. Their player base is very firm and very resilient, and the people who play and love Hearthstone love Hearthstone. The creators who are continuously creating content for Hearthstone obviously love Hearthstone and post daily content on that. So the scene is still very much so alive. There are only a handful of other competitors when it comes to a polished game like this, with the regular updates, the way the card styles work, the animations, the amount of just creators in the space. I mean, if you can just go to Twitch or YouTube and just look at the sheer amount, Hearthstone, like I said, not going anywhere, very, very healthy in that regards. And in my opinion, as long as World of Warcraft is as popular and is still one of the biggest MMORPGs, Hearthstone goes off of WoW. So as long as WoW exists, Hearthstone will exist as well. So we have a good amount of pros. We have a good amount of cons. I think Hearthstone's a fantastic game to play as long as you are playing a couple hours a day or just a week. It is not a game that you're going to want to really sink your teeth into in regards to the esports side. If you're trying to get into, like, if you're a very competitive player and you're wanting to join the pro circuit, it's just not really there anymore. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you really feel like you're the next gen Yu-Gi boy, sure, give it a go. But for the majority of players who don't even reach legend, which is about 99% of players do not reach legend, which is the highest rank, this game is a fantastic play. A couple hours a week, enjoy your collection and get some free stuff, open some packs, celebrate on the legendaries you open, you know, find fun decks for fun cards you enjoy playing, and that's basically it. But if you're trying to play Hearthstone 8 hours a day and do something with that, this is probably not the game to do that for. All right, with that, this video was actually a lot more fun to make than I thought it would, and to put all of my thoughts into one place. So if I missed anything, or you'd like to add anything, or you want to ask a question to clarify anything that I mentioned, I am going to definitely read all the comments on this video, as I've enjoyed reading it, and I'm looking forward to hearing feedback on it. If you opted to play Hearthstone or steer away from Hearthstone from this video, or if you're a current player of Hearthstone, did I hit on all the points that you think I should have? Because, yeah, like I said, I didn't think I'd love making this video, but I thoroughly enjoyed getting all my thoughts out there. So with that, I'm Robert Warshack, of course, and happy whatever the hell day it is.
How do I know when my spicy off-meta deck is cooking or it's straight garbage? Hearthstone Deck Tracker gives me all the data I need to be able to find, track, create, and play with the worst possible decks I can to Legend each and every month. From matchup spreads to historical data, I can see where my off-meta decks stand in any meta. Features such as mulligan guides, remaining cards, and turn counters provide information which helps you make the best decision each turn. So if you want to be better than me, go on in the description below, hsreplay.net, give it a free download.
Isn't that right, bud? That's a good boy. You downloaded FH Replay, didn't you?